Bro, bro, can you hear me? Can you hear me, bro? I've been like talking to you even before we came on the air, but you haven't responded. Did I say something to ruffle your feathers? Did I get your tea bag in a wad? Is it something that I did that you really haven't been able to tell me about? Or, do you need to talk? Do you need a hug, bro? Is it something? Is Jomo okay? Is it something that I can do? Bro, you haven't said a word. All right, maybe you'll feel differently after we do the intro. Maybe you'll feel a little bit differently. Because it can.
Come on, dog. Let's fight.
Welcome. Good one. 20s, 30s. I'm good.
I mean, when you got that natural installation, bro, it's cool. I get it.
No, real men come from the north, so we can deal with.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. That sums it all up. Let's
we can deal with the cold.
I'm saying these names not because they're essentially the best fighters out there, which we can make a case for Shakur Stevenson, definitely. They just look that much better than whoever they fight.
I think you might want to keep this thing on the feet and stay any way possible. Stay away from that guillotine choke. He was squeezing Buddy's face in the last fight and put him out.
Come on, dog. Let's fight.
Welcome to the Fighter Share Report. Now, I was saying in the intro, I was like, bro, I've been talking to you. You didn't respond. So we're going to see if he's going to respond now.
Yeah, you got me. You got me dead to rights, brother.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, I just thought you were meditating or something.
I was in the places in actually, bro. I had to meditate because I had to just spend some unnecessary money, so I had to meditate on that thing so I could get right for this show.
Well, Cabbage ain't free, my friend. Cabbage is not free.
I wish that was it. Never an oversight on the Cabbage, bro. What we got?
You would not get anything done in life if Cabbage was free. Look, the Zone has two big fights on Saturday night. Two. We know Ortiz versus Hooker, but then we got Okolie versus, I got this right, Glowacki for the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the World. So, listen, I'm not really, I've seen Okolie fight before, but I'm not familiar with Glowacki. Are you familiar with him at all?
Aspects. Okolie, I know is someone that, what was that?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah. Okolie's a big time prospect, bro. They've been really pushing this kid a lot over in the UK. His last performance, I don't think was up to par. However, this would be a big test for him. This is interesting though, because now we're starting to see this whole new division kind of get a landscape to it. This the cruiserweight and then the bridgerweight, because I saw where they had some bridgerweight fights coming up this weekend too. I think what's the hard punching guy from Philly? Oscar. It's not Rivas, is it?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
Man, but yes, okay, yeah. So he's in bridgerweight. So we're gonna see a lot more of these fights happen, bro. I don't know how to feel about it, but yes, Okolie's a big time prospect. Glowacki's gonna be a test. This is kind of a crossroads. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a crossroads fight, but with Okolie having this much praise bestowed upon him over in the UK, bro, I think it's essential that he has a good showing here. But for me, the most important and the most exciting fight I see on this card is Ortiz versus Hooker.
Okay, that's not on the same card.
They're not both the zone fights?
They're both the zone fights, but this is the Okolie Glowacki fight is a combination of Sky Sports and DAZN. And the Hooker fight is straight up DAZN. They're two separate cards. One's in England.
Okay, well, for the purpose of it being a DAZN, Okay, yeah, right, correct. Because the Hooker fight and Ortiz fight is going to be in America. So yeah, for the purpose of it just being a DAZN production, that's why I said that. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, for the purpose of the early fight on Saturday with the DAZN guys, I think that the Hooker Ortiz fight is probably going to be. I don't know. The Bridger or cruiserweight fight could be good, but
And
I
it's
like
for
this
a world
matchup
title,
between
though.
Ortiz.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it
like.
is.
It's for a
It
world
is.
title. So let's jump
Yeah.
into this Ortiz Hooker fight. Boy, it sounds like we're talking about some people on the street. But listen, we know Ortiz from what we've seen. A lot of people don't know Hooker. Give us some insight about Hooker.
I mean, Maurice Hooker's a vet. I mean, he's been around for a while. He's from Dallas. He has now joined the stable of B&B, Bud and Bomac. But Maurice Hooker he was a prospect for a while. He has a decorated amateur career. He's a good fighter. He's a legit fighter. He's a former world champ. So this is a good, highly contested. Should be a very good fight, man.
I'm looking forward to it. I am. I'm really looking forward to it. I like Hooker. Obviously, I like Ortiz, but I don't know.
Yeah.
The more I keep thinking about Hooker and what I've seen of his fights, I like him. I think it's almost a 60-40 fight. I wouldn't say 50-50, but I would say it no less than 60-40, even 55-45 if you really wanted to get down to it.
Right.
It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it will be. And every time Hooker shows up, he shows up to fight. I think the last time I saw Hooker on the big stage, I want to say when he fought Jose Ramirez, and he lost that fight. And I think that was that in Dallas? It was a top ranked card. It was a couple of years ago. And since then, he's had a couple fights under Bomac. So he's, we'll see how much more of an improved fight he is against a step up in competition like this will be against Ortiz.
Correct.
But yeah, we're talking about a guy's a former world champ, and he's got a lot of pride. He's from Dallas. Him and Earl Spence came up together. So this guy's no slouch, man. He'll be ready to come. He'll be ready to fight.
And it's going to be at the Dick's Arena. Don't go any further with that in Fort Worth, Texas. All right. So we've been talking about it. Hopefully we haven't inundated people with it. But UFC Fight Night Vegas 22 is upon us. It'll be here Saturday. Shout out to Penalty Talk. Did the Badger meet his twin? Who's the head coach at Mississippi Valley?
Nah, man, y'all gotta sponsor me a ticket so I can get out there and go meet up with him, man.
Sorry. That was a good one. Listen, we know the headline. Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland. It's gonna be a knockdown drag out, in my opinion. You can't count Derek Brunson out. I don't care how much Kevin Holland runs his mouth. You can't count him out, as Badger brought up earlier. This may be do or die as far as his last opportunity to stay in the main event spotlight. Kevin Holland, younger, flashier, probably faster. We know we'll see Kevin Holland again because they just recycle fighters, and he's young enough to get back in that cycle. But that's going to be a good fight between him and Brunson. I don't think it's a sleeper. I think most people know it's going to be a good fight, and it's setting the table for next week.
Yeah, definitely a crossroads fight. I'm definitely interested in watching this one. These two have had a little chatter going back and forth for about a year now. And yeah, Holland is the prospect. He's the young up and coming guy. He's the brash guy. But make no mistake about it, man. Derek Brunson has everything to gain and lose in this fight. He needs to win this fight. Derek Brunson's win this fight, man. We might be talking about Derek Brunson in Bellator because he's a guy that's never quite got there. He's kind of always, he's a legit competitor, but he starts to kind of fit into that same realm as like Corey Anderson or Yoel Romero. They have the talent, but they just for whatever reason, just quite get over that hump. They're good. They're going to beat a lot of people. But when it comes time to beat the elite guys, they may or may not fall short. It's a toss-up. So I think for Derek Brunson at 37 years old, this is getting towards the end of the rope for him. So he needs to come out with a statement. He needs to win this fight. I just feel like that's just as simple as it gets for him. Kevin Holland, for him, keep doing what you're doing. By all accounts, if Derek Brunson beats you, no one's going to be calling upset. Right? They're just going to say, well, this was a kid that ran his mouth. And when he got time to get inside that top 10, those guys, when you start getting to that cream, right? that he wasn't quite ready. So then he'll go back to the drawing board and he'll get better and he'll try to come back and get on the spot. But for Derek Brunson, man, this is do or die, I think.
Yeah. I kind of give you that. And again, Brunson knows this. So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a bell to bell or horn to horn, really good fight. The co-main. This is interesting. Gregor Gillespie, who we've seen, versus Brad Riddell. Now, here's the interesting thing. You know, Gillespie fights at lightweight, right? Okay. The fight is scheduled at lightweight. But the last known weights for these guys, you have Gregor Gillespie at 155, but you got Brad Riddell at 170 pounds, where he usually fights. That could take a toll on somebody coming down. It doesn't seem like a big drop unless you've been around wrestlers. 170 to 155 is a big drop. Because most of those guys, if you're at 170, you walk around 190 anyway. Maybe even 200, but usually 190. So now you're not just cutting the normal 20, but you're adding 15 onto it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and like you said too, that's tough because now what happens too is if you over or rehydrate too much, now you're sluggish. So you gotta be careful with that, man. Weight cutting is it's indeed a science, I guess.
Yeah, it can get real ugly in the midst of it. And we got another heavyweight fight on the card. It pits Tay Tuivasa. Oh man, Tuivasa
versus yes. Dontel Mays.
Versus Dontel Mays, yes, or Dontel if he went to prison.
Yeah.
A 265-pounder versus a 260-pounder, bro.
Yeah, some big dudes. Gonna be a lot of furniture moving in there.
Listen, the 265-pounder is on. The 265-pounder is only 6'2". The 260-pounder is 6'6".
Some big dudes, man. It's gonna be some furniture moving in there, bro. So, and I bet it won't go the distance.
The distance? No.
Somebody getting tired.
Listen, this is something that came up, and I wanted us to talk about it. I know I put the subject is meanwhile. How big is the gap in boxing now between the GOAT/GWOAT and everybody else? And it would depend on who you consider the GOAT.
So are we talking about you said GWOAT, so that's women. So we talking about Clarissa Shields and Amanda Nunes?
I said GOAT/GWOAT.
So boxing, MMA.
I said strictly boxing. You got male boxers, female boxers. That's why I said GOAT/GWOAT. So you consider Canelo
okay.
the
It
GOAT.
does say in boxing. Okay. No, it does say in boxing. Okay. It depends on what division we're talking about. Because if you talk about the 130, 140 pound division throughout history.
Oh, no.
Right, there was not a real big gap between the talent. Now you look at it and it's like you got one or two guys. It's like a huge gap between everybody else, right? You got Floyd Mayweather in the field. You got Andre Ward in the field. You got Canelo Alvarez is looking like at this point Canelo Alvarez in the field. So it's still a little bit closer though because in women's boxing, I don't think anyone really believes that there's. I mean, we say Katie Taylor, but Savannah Martin. Do we really know if any of these girls can beat Clarissa Shields? Because maybe some amateur success, but what have we seen in the pro game to make us really feel that way? I don't know, but I just feel like we're looking at just what's laid out on the table as far as accolades. Then, yeah, it's Clarissa Shields and maybe Katie Taylor and everyone else. Amanda Serrano, it's just, and those women, none of them, with the exception of Katie Taylor, I think is big enough to fight Clarissa Shields. Amanda Serrano and all those women, they're smaller. So you'll never see those fights happen anyway. So it's kind of like Clarissa Shields is just bigger. So yeah, it's just kind of hard.
So does that make the contemplation of the former challenge from Layla Ali seem more significant? because Clarissa is just bigger than the rest of the ones who are leading the pack with her. I mean, like you say, you're not going to see that fight. They're not coming up to her weight. She's not dropping down to their weight. Now, mind you, the talk kind of went away as fights came back into existence, as we started getting more real live fights between her and Layla. But I don't think the talk is gone. So I would ask, does that make that fight more significant if Layla loses the weight and can meet Clarissa at a fair catch weight? Because Layla was considered a GOAT of her time.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Layla, that'll kind of be like the crossroads of MJ and LeBron. We'll never know. We'll never see Layla Ali get back in the ring, and I'm okay with that. I just think that, unfortunately for Clarissa, hopefully for her, if she loses in MMA, as much as we would like to say it's not going to matter, it will be a stain on her resume. So she needs to tread lightly.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is her daring to be great, right? And I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but she was on Joe Rogan yesterday. They started putting that interview out. Check out some of the stuff that she's talking about on there. It's interesting. But yeah, this is treading into different territory, bro. So if Clarissa can become a champion at any league, PFL, Bellator, or UFC, bro, we have to be talking about the greatest combat artists, martial artists, period.
Question.
No one's ever crossed two sports, not divisions, two sports and become champs. It's never been done, bro. That's amazing.
Wait a minute. It actually has been done. Who's the track athlete that won gold in track and went to bobsledding and won gold? Lo Jones.
I said combat sports.
Oh, you said combat sports. I apologize.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
And we could be wrong.
Brock Lesnar.
I mean, Chris Algieri was a former kickboxing champ.
Brock Lesnar.
Current though.
He is
At
current.
the same time.
He did. He held the WWE title and he held the UFC heavyweight championship.
Oh, you're counting WWE as okay.
Well, I mean, he was also a national champion in wrestling. So I mean,
current, bro, she'll be a UFC and a boxing, MMA and a boxing champ at the same time.
Your 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Didn't really come prepared to talk about a whole lot today, but I will talk about something that's interesting to me. The Seattle Seahawks were listening to Officer Russell Wilson. Now, I'm a little bit compelled on this because, to me, and I could be biased, but I think Russell Wilson has been one of the top 3 quarterbacks for the last 10 years. Don't care how you slice it. The last 10 years, Russell Wilson, or 8 years, whenever he came into the league, because after his first year, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, has been a top flight quarterback. How is it that Seattle, who has seemed to have been able to get success based strictly off of Russell Wilson? Now, mind you, he's only been in 2 Super Bowls. He's only won 1. The one that he won, he had the Legion of Boom, a great defense with potential Hall of Famers. And he had a hell of a running back. And he had a good enough offensive line to where he could, as long as he didn't lose the game, they were going to be successful. But what we've seen is that Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks have seemed to have fallen in love with just let Russell cook. Yeah, it's a great idea to just let Russell cook. But keep in mind, Russell is human. Sometimes he reminds us of a superhero, but he's human. And as he gets older, he ages. And miraculously, Russell hasn't been hampered by too many serious injuries. I mean, a guy of his size and stature, we would have assumed couldn't live up or stand up to a regular pounding of a 16, now a 17-game NFL season. But I wonder why Seattle hasn't gotten Russell Wilson help. Aaron Rodgers has help. Tom Brady got help. Peyton Manning got help. Patrick Mahomes got help. Why is it so hard to get Russ help? Seattle, y'all better tighten up because you usually only get one lifetime or one franchise quarterback. This is the one that y'all got right now. Y'all better get Russ all the help y'all need because he ain't got much longer. Y'all ain't gonna win more ships after that.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that because my topic today is why dynasties fall. And it goes right into what you were talking about. People look at the Patriots and they say the Patriots are the greatest dynasty in professional sports ever. People said the same thing about the Steelers of the 70s. They also said the same thing about the early Celtics. They said the same thing about the Maple Leafs when they had Gretzky and Messier and Grant Fuhrer. And they said the same thing about the Bulls with Michael Jordan. But you look at these dynasties and you say, wow, why did they fall? Because usually when you look at the players, it wasn't because all the players got old. Well, you look at the Celtics, possibly, after 11 championships in 12 years, it's like the players kind of got a little bit older and retired and what so have you. But when you look at these other teams, the Steelers, they had a window. They had players retire. It was a different era. You could hit receivers. You could hit people differently. But when you look at the modern day dynasties, it's because usually somebody wanted to change things. Somebody wanted to make adjustments. Somebody wanted to put their own stamp on things. People said that when the Bucs won their first Super Bowl, they were going to become a dynasty with that defense. And then with that offense, they could finally move under John Gruden. But John Gruden had to put his own stamp on the team. Sent Sapp to Oakland. Other players were gone. Usually dynasties fall from within if you look at history. And that is the plight of most dynasties.
Yeah, bro, they gotta get Russell some help, man. I don't understand. Like, and they always seem to be such an injury riddled team, bro. They've, I think this is the first year they actually had running backs, because the year before last they had a rookie, and the year before that they were hurt. It's just like they're always dinged up. Where's a true number one receiver, right? I mean, what happens? The offensive line is always in tatters. It's almost like whatever Russell does, what's going to work.
And you're right, Russell's not going to win it all by himself, and Russell realizes this. So I think Russ is looking at all these other teams going, look at their line, look at their running backs, look at their core of receivers. What can I do with that? And it's a natural progression. And Seattle's probably like, fine, if that's what you want, but they're not going to take less than they think they deserve for them. So again, this is what happens when a team gets torn apart from the inside, because somebody didn't let go of their ego and listen to reason. They'll never admit it until later when you get an interview 20 years down the road. But look, shout out to Penalty Talk for chiming in. Shout out to all of our viewers who caught us today. We appreciate you all. Tomorrow, it's back to Sir Ratchetness over here for our less formal show. We love you guys. We pray you're doing well and everything that you're doing. We pray your mental health is up to standards. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for chiming in with us. We will see y'all tomorrow, same bat time, same bat place. Well, yes, we'll be a little more formal, and I will be ratchet. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Hey, and in case you can't tell, happy St. Patrick's Day. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Friday Nation. Peace.
It's the red that threw me off, bro. It's the red that threw me off.